Hi, welcome to Expendable Plus Inc. I'm Jolene, this is Marie.
Hi.
And we're here for another episode of Wine Wednesdays, and today's topic is Martin Luther King.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory.
King was born January 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. He had 4 children. King led the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955 after an incident where Rosa Parks would not give up her seat for a white person in the colored section of the bus. This boycott lasted for over a year.
Dr. King also won the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through nonviolent resistance. He was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal.
One of the people who inspired Martin Luther King on becoming a nonviolent activist was Mahatma Gandhi and his Christian beliefs.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day originally started in 1971 by numerous cities and states, and later by federal legislation signed into law by Ronald Reagan in 1986.
On January 17, 2000, Martin Luther King Jr. Day was officially observed in all 50 states.
Crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination, 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later,
Dr. King gave his famous speech, "I Have a Dream," before the Lincoln Memorial, the year of 1963 on August 28, during the March of Washington for Jobs and Freedom.
"I Have a Dream" came to be regarded as one of the finest speeches in history of American oratory.
yes, black men as well as white men would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today.
So how does Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech make you feel when you hear it?
His message in his speech was a message of hope, freedom, equality. For many of us who come from different countries, I myself being an immigrant, that is something that you learn that in school. I learned that in school as a child. And it gives you a lot of hope as you become an adult that you have the opportunity to get better.
Right.
This country offers that for you.
And definitely speaks to a word of encouragement. It's very encouraging. And the fact that it does transcend time, I do think that it is something that we do need to repetitively go back to, and just understanding where it is that we've come from, but where it is that we're also continuing to go towards.
Exactly.
And so I definitely think that it's a speech that we should hear more often, and that it should be something that not even just our generation hears about, but even children growing up should know about.
And that it should be taught still to this day. It's not just a celebration of his day, but his word and his work and what he fought so hard for.
Right. What's your interpretation of King's quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter"?
Wow, that is so deep and very, very interesting, because it is, you have to fight for your rights. You have to have a voice. Although that does not give you the right to be hurtful to other people, like we're seeing in our days. We see it in our days on social media. You know, it is, he was open to discussion, to try to reach out across the board and be like, you know, this is my message. Give my people equality. You know, and that means like whether you agree with someone or not, be equal to be able to discuss issues that we do not agree upon.
Right. Well, I think that the one thing that I've noticed has been the trend when it comes to a lot of the movements that go on today is that it's very much here today, gone tomorrow. And so the movements don't have the same passion that I think that Martin Luther King had behind his message and when it is that he spoke. And so oftentimes the silence that I think that he spoke about then is where we are today, where a lot of people are becoming silent about things once they're done making the ruckus that they want to make about it. And so I don't think that that's the reason, I don't think that's the reason why we're able to see the forward movement that we had been able to see with Martin Luther King. Do you think that King would have been as effective today as he was during his time, or more effective?
I think his legacy started back then for a reason, and we get to go back and study and kind of learn again what he fought so hard for. If he will be here in our time, because his message was about peace, it probably wouldn't have been as effective as it is because of what's going on. If you don't agree with somebody, people will bash you. People will say nasty things. No, you're not right. You're wrong. You're not. No, he wanted to have a discussion.
Right.
Because he was a very well-educated man.
Right.
You know, and nowadays everybody wants to be an influencer because of what you put on.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't. I mean, it's definitely hard, especially today, in terms of the effectiveness when everyone is about, you know, kind of placing everybody on a crucifix, like you said. It's very much about bashing and not really hearing opposing opinions and knowing that we might be on differing sides, but we're all still human.
And this is what ends all the movements, because it's so much disconnection.
Right.
Instead of getting everyone on one side, if people are not connected and coming together to discuss things.
Right. And I think that that's the equality that we really need to fight for is humans. We need equality for human rights. And that's really what we need to have resound as one voice. Because if there's one thing that I've learned growing up is that we're one human family.
And that goes across the board. Every race, religion, color, background, it doesn't matter. We're in a country where we are a rainbow of immigrants. We come from all different backgrounds, all different colors, all different countries. That's what makes this country so great.
It does. If you had one question to ask Martin Luther King, what would you ask him?
Oh my gosh, that would be so difficult to answer.
This is the most favorite.
I would probably ask him if he would have, for one moment, thought that there would be an African-American president sitting in our White House.
That would be a great question to ask him. I don't even know how he would answer that.
He probably wouldn't have never imagined.
I think that he probably did. I think that that's how much of a forward thinker that he was that he definitely had, because of him being a religious background. I think that oftentimes when it comes to religion, they have that forward thinking. They have a hope.
Yeah, I can honestly, agree with that. What would your question be, though?
But my question would be, if I had to ask Martin Luther King any question, it would be, did he imagine that today's society would be the way that it is now? Just imagining where it is that we are in the society with Trump being president, with the talks of the wall and everything else, these children being detained in these camps, and talking about these different things. What would his perspective be when it comes to these things, and how would he feel? I think that I would want to know where he would be at.
I would hate to think that it would be disappointing.
I think it would be disappointing. Right. And I think that that's where the nation is now, is definitely in a state of disappointment, because we're realizing, I think that people don't realize how much history has repeated itself, but also how far it is that we still have to go.
But hopefully that will get better and people will come to terms of understanding each other. So that was his message, and of peace and just equality that we have somehow lost.
Right.
But it'll get better.
It'll definitely get better.
Yeah.
So we need that.
Yeah.
That'll be a wrap for another segment of Wine Wednesdays. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you also, Marie, for being here.
You're welcome.
Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share, and also leave a comment below. And stay tuned for next week's episode of Wine Wednesdays.
Do not forget to have some wine.
Cheers. Bye.
I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.